No one told me that this was a box of fucking death. Well, I have an exciting fucking announcement to make. As many of you know, I've been a big advocate of eating whatever the fuck you want to eat while you're intermittent fasting. I recently had a very intense argument debate which led to me sleeping on the couch about the health ramifications of the shit I eat. And I've always known that, things like motherfucking Pop-Tarts and pretty much any other refined carb, or starch or pasta or bread, I've always known that these things are fucking bad for you. I mean, just the general premise that I have to starve myself by fasting. Now, starve is a rather negative term, but fasting is not exactly a negative health effect. I mean, there are many health benefits that have been proven from fasting, and I'm still a big, huge believer and proponent of fasting. However, one of the most negative effects that I've noticed from fasting is fucking cravings and fucking carb cravings and fucking hunger. And on some of my 72-hour fasts, which I'm in full ketosis for, I've noticed the lack of energy, the lethargy, the sinusy feeling that you get when you are switched over to ketosis. Basically, your brain's going, fuck! What the fuck's going on? I want fucking carbs. Your brain does love glucose. There's no getting around that. However, sometimes your brain will suck it up and deal with the fact that it's using ketones. Not all, because even when you're on a ketogenic diet or in ketosis, you're still converting things into glucose. You're converting proteins. Whether you're getting them proteins from fucking meats or whether you're getting them from your lean mass, which we all know, especially me, that part of the weight you're losing when you're intermittent fasting is lean mass. Your brain's still getting some glucose, even when you're in full ketosis. There's still and I just learned this. This isn't something that I've operated on in the past. My research into managing hunger and cravings has led me down this very narrow, focused path. And, I've kind of heard it from diehard ketos in the past that once you are fully keto adapted, as in your body has made the metabolic changes from becoming a glucose-based motherfucker to becoming a fat-consuming motherfucker, that this process isn't overnight. And it's not permanent. That's the thing. In the past, I've failed at low carb. I did Atkins, which is not exactly keto. I mean, Atkins, you can eat as much fucking protein as you want. Supposedly, back in the day. I don't know. I was ignorant back then. I still am ignorant today in some ways. But back then, I failed because of carb cravings. I needed some sweet shit. I needed some fucking bread. I needed some fucking pasta. I needed some fucking potatoes. And, my brain was going nuts for this shit. And I couldn't figure out why. And I still, with my intermittent fasting and my more aggressive fasting protocols, can't figure out why I have these intense, addictive cravings. I mean, there's been times where I've walked into the fucking kitchen and I just could not stop myself. The only way that I would have been able to willpower through that is if I had not bought the shit to begin with. But like I've said in the past, I love the flavor and the thing. And the reason for that is because sugar and salt, to a lesser degree, are both addictive. They both stimulate your fucking pleasure sensors and make you fucking feel great for 20 to 30 minutes, maybe a couple hours if you're really gluttonous. But after that, you want more. Where's my next fix? I gotta get more. Where the fuck? Give me some sugar. There's my Pop-Tarts. Shh. Thank you. Thank you for my next fix. That feels really good. I have taken it upon myself that, they say becoming fully keto adapted takes 21 days, but can take as long as 6 weeks in some individuals. So I'm like, well, the only way I'll know for sure is if I become keto adapted. And so I plan on cutting my carbs to under 50 grams per day net carbs. As you know, net carbs is carbs minus fiber, but the fiber, it has to be, linked. You can't do this with the processed foods. You have to do this with fruit, vegetables, and that kind of shit. So while I'm definitely not going to be a fucking vegan because I love meat, I love salty meat and eggs and cheese and all, it's great. Fucking awesome. My experiment is going to be a quest to answer several questions. A lot of the ketogenic stuff that I've read, and I've watched Fathead, I've watched Serial Killer, which are both very good documentaries. Fathead's more of a fuck you to supersize me and that kind of stuff, and he's pretty much just slamming the fuck out of them for the first half of the documentary. But once he gets past that stage of it, it's a little ridiculous to eat all fast food all the fucking time. Even I know that, and I love the shit. You're not getting a lot of nutrition from those places. You're gonna live. You can live off of it, definitely, but you're not doing your body any favors, and you're pretty much gonna keep craving that shit. But by the end of it, if you watch the director's cut of Fathead, there's like an addendum. He ends up becoming full-on keto by the end of it. He realizes that fat is good, sugar's bad, carbs are bad, and, I hate to spoil the fucking documentary for you, but in the end, he learns that that's the way to go, and he shows this nice fucking picture of himself with abs and low body fat and, and all of this. He looks like he's been working out. He claims he works out, resistance training once a week. Same thing with Serial Killer. The guy was already fit to begin with, in my opinion, but he was concerned that his father had a heart attack, and he was like this fucking champion, European football player that fucking, was fit as a fiddle and just had a fucking heart attack out of the blue. But turns out he was eating the way we all eat. Carbs are good and fat is bad, which is complete horseshit. I've known it for a while, but I love fucking carbs. I'm addicted. My name is Scott the Truck Driver, and I'm a carb addict. So go fuck yourself. That's the attitude I've had. That's the attitude I've had towards the ketos. I'm like, fuck you. That's not sustainable. Carbs are fucking awesome. Think of all of the shit that you're giving up when you go keto. No bread. No refined carbs whatsoever. Is in nothing pretty much in the whole middle of the fucking store, where all the processed food goes to live. And they suck you in there. And even on the outside to some degree is a minefield. At the times where I've done keto, but for short, small periods of time, shopping is a little bit of a minefield, and you could step in some fucking carbs if you're not careful. So you gotta read lots of labels. You gotta know what you're looking at in the ingredients on top of reading those labels. So research is pretty much, you gotta put a lot of effort into being a keto. Whereas intermittent fasting and eating shit, you don't have to really even think. You count some calories if you're really concerned or you're plateaued. Now, as you all know, I've plateaued at 193, and then I bulked back up to 206, 210, 210 at one point, and this morning I weighed in at 205. Now, before you fuck me in the ass, realize that last night, not too long before midnight, probably around 10, I broke a 26-hour fast by eating an entire pepperoni pizza along with 2 ice cream sandwiches and some tasty cakes. So pretty much, so yeah, I've pretty much, you know, I'm the poster boy for carb addiction. I am the person that they're talking. Now, granted, I don't drink soda. I quit soda a long time ago, long before I even knew what the fuck fasting was. I was like, you know what? I feel like shit all the time. I'm getting fatter every year. Maybe I should cut down on the soda. Mountain Dew was my fucking lifeblood for the longest time. But back then, I didn't even like coffee. I was like, fuck coffee. And Gatorade, too. I used to fucking drink tons of Gatorade. Cases. Pretty much what I drink now in water, I used to drink in Gatorade and Mountain Dew. I tried to keep the Mountain Dew down towards the end, a couple bottles a day, maybe one bottle. And then the rest was Gatorade. It turns out I wasn't doing myself any favors. The Gatorade was just, maybe not completely as bad, but pretty fucking bad, So, what do I hope to accomplish in this 6-week ketogenic adaptation challenge? First of all, I've seen little to no correlation or research involving intermittent fasting paired to a keto adapted person. So I am curious, if you are fully keto adapted, supposedly you do not crave carbs whatsoever. Your body's like, okay, that's it. That's all we got. Ladies and gentlemen, no more carbs are available to this human being. We must now want and crave fat. Once you're in that state, technically, my theory, which may be backed up out there, I haven't done full research on this, is once you're in this fully keto adapted state, when you intermittently fast, for 24, even 36, 72 would be pushing it, because, I'm thinking 72 is going to be a little more rough on this, because you're already, when you do a 72, you dump salt. And when you become salt deficient, it has side effects. You start to feel dizzy, low energy, lethargic. Your body wants its salt. And it turns out when you're all fucked up on carbs, you don't need much salt because, first of all, the shit's salted as it is. And you hold on to a lot more salt when you use glucose and carbs as your main source of energy. So, my goal is to pair intermittent fasting with full keto adaptation. See what my weight loss results are. Keep in mind, my original goal was to see abs. So, will I see abs if I do this? Probably not in a 6-week period, but I probably should get down to the 185, 180 mark, if I'm not taking in too many calories. That's the other thing. They contend that fat's a free food on a ketogenic diet. You can eat as much fat as you can stomach. Eat till you're full, they say. They don't care about you counting your calories on these diets, because they're confident that fat and protein are so satisfying and filling that you can overeat it. As in contrast to carbs, which you never feel satiated eating carbs. You can sit there and eat a whole box of donuts and you won't be like, oh, fuck. Oh man, I gotta take a nap. Oh. You'll carb crash, but you won't feel. You ever eat a prime rib, a 20-ounce fucking prime rib, along with, heaps of carbs and all of that? When you eat one of them big fuck you meals, after that, you're like, you look like you're fucking pregnant and shit. And you're ready, but you could eat a whole box of donuts and you won't be full. Nope, not at all. You'll carb crash, but you won't feel satisfied. And in a couple hours, ready for more. So I want to defeat that part of my hormones that is saying, hey, you need to eat more. Oh, by the way, time to eat. You know what? I haven't had a donut in a while. Them Pop-Tarts are looking mighty good. How about an ice cream sandwich? You know, pizza. So yeah, is this just my brain fucking with me, or do I have a psychosis that I'm mentally addicted to these things, or is there a physical component that is telling me that I have to eat these things? Because our ancestors didn't have access to any of that shit. Paleo and keto are in the same ballpark. There's a little bit of infighting about fruits. What fruits you can have. Paleos obviously can have a lot more fruit than Mr. Keto. Keto's very selective. You're trying to get into berries. You can have an apple, but that's all you can have for the whole day. And I state that during this process, I'm going to monitor my ketosis with keto strips. I'm going to get those probably today or tomorrow. I plan on starting this Sunday. Today is my Saturday, my last day of fucking carbs. And I will run it through the entire month of February, 6 weeks from tomorrow. I will reevaluate the whole experience. And throughout the process, I'm going to vlog. And I'm going to tell you the foods I'm eating. I'm going to experiment with different recipes for satisfying that sweet tooth. Because I know I'm going to want something sweet. I've always craved it. So I better have on deck a keto-friendly solution to that. And I've already started researching some of the sweeteners that, use. And stevia, and I think xylitol is one, and there's a couple of sugar alcohols that are low glycemic index. They don't affect your blood sugar at all. They're very low calorie, and some cases they're more sweeter than sugar, but it's a minefield too. I just found out that I have a big powdered stevia in the raw thing in there with maltodextrin in it, which is an artificial sweetener that they mix with it. And it, of course, will pop your insulin, which is unacceptable. Turns out if you want to use stevia, you should use it in liquid form. And it, of course, is more expensive. That's the other thing that I need to experiment with. How to do this while you're a broke motherfucker. As many of you know, carbs are cheap. You can get 3,000 to 5,000 calories for, like I could go buy a 1,200 calorie Tony's pizza in the motherfucking Wegmans for $3. $3.50. Whole pizza, 1,200 calories. Most of it is shit. Not a lot of nutrition. I got some pepperoni on there, you got some cheese, and, other than that, it's mostly a cardboard brick of fucking carbs. And, there's some fat, which is, supposed to be good, but it's cheap. You go to McDonald's, there's a huge dollar menu of cheap food, laced with carbs and sugar to make it better for you, and salt and fat. There's two things that you buy at fast food: salt and fat, or sugar. That's it, and carbs. Which sugars are a carb. So I hope to eliminate these things from my diet. That's my goal. But I want to answer the question, A, is this sustainable? I'm already biased that it's not, because I failed at this once before. But I didn't do it right. You see, when you go into ketosis, I've been in and out of ketosis throughout my intermittent fasting. It's one of the peak times for getting to your fat. When your insulin is up, it's basic biochemistry, you are not getting your energy from fat. Insulin is fat storage. Human growth hormone is what pulls it the fuck out. Unless you are in a fasted state and completely depleted of glycogen, your liver's empty, your muscles are depleted, and there's a lot more science-y stuff. I watched a very in-depth biochemistry lesson on this. And, this isn't entirely accurate because I'm not a fucking expert. What I'm telling you, I'm just giving you the chimpanzee version of the shit that I research. And anecdotally I'll arrive to the same place that the fucking brainiacs are getting. But, my chimpanzee understanding of the matter is if your insulin's up, you are not burning fat. So that's the whole thing with intermittent fasting, is to have these large, lengthy fucking periods of time where you don't spike your insulin, and then you spike the fuck out of it because you love all of that shit, right? So yeah, but there's implications that when you're carb loading like that, you are still putting yourself at risk for heart attack, diabetes, all the things that fasting counteracts while you're fasting. But it brings into question, has there ever been a long-term study that intermittent fasting with a high carb diet, does that work as far as reducing your risk of diabetes? Yes, you can reduce your obesity, which brings down a lot of these factors, but I'm still finding I plateau a lot sooner than what is considered a healthy fat level. And I know it's not a healthy fat level because I can see, the gut is still there. I can't see no fucking abs down there. Abs, yeah, it's a little unhealthy to be down at ab level, but let's face it, you have a lot more energy to do shit when you are that, when you don't have that much fat to carry. Your muscles don't have to work as hard to do shit. So, overall, that's the plan. Gonna switch to ketogenic diet. My girlfriend is also joining me on this journey. So it'll be interesting. It'll be kind of, I'm not sure how much of her diet regimen she's going to want to share, but I'm going to ask her questions on how she's doing with it, and see if I can share some of those results with you. So that's 2 people in a study, and that makes it official or something. 6 weeks. No more than 50 grams of carbs per day. I will go over in more detail what I'm eating during this 6-week period. I will keep a food diarrhea. Well, maybe that'll happen. I will keep a food diarrhea with MyFitnessPal app, to kind of just keep track of the calories I'm consuming, to try and hit my macros, because you don't want to overconsume protein on this diet. You definitely want most of your calories for the day to come from fat, Yeah, and I'm going to have to eat some fucking vegetables. I'm excited about that. Yeah. They still don't make a Pop-Tart flavored vegetable, do they? I mean, we haven't genetically modified shit to that level yet. Maybe we'll figure that out someday. I highly recommend, if those of you who try and follow my journey and try this shit out, if you're going to try this challenge with me, I recommend watching Serial Killer. This is probably one of the more informative ones. But just go on YouTube and type in ketogenic diet and take seriously the more scientific based stuff that you come across. You're going to come across a lot of anecdotal diets and practices that are out there. There are people that have been in ketosis for many years that are definitely better at this than I am. But this is just kind of an experiment with, and a lot of those ketos don't advocate as much intermittent fasting. And obviously, if you're in ketosis all the time, you don't need to fast as long to get the same results. Because the minute you're depleted of glycogen, your body only has one place to go when you're not feeding it. And that's your fat. When under a normal intermittent fasting protocol, you have to burn through that glycogen to get to your fat. So just because you stop eating doesn't mean, I'm burning fat. No, you start releasing a little more fatty acids. Your body realizes you're not taking in carbs. And it starts a little balancing act to kind of maintain optimal, to lengthen the amount of time you have access to glucose. It'll mix in some fatty acids in there, But overall, to really nail your fat, your glycogen needs to be gone. you know. Now, there's some exceptions to the rule, like some muscles at rest apparently go for the fat right away. That's why there's fatty acids circulating, even though you have a complete filled glycogen storage. But not everything. When you're glycogen depleted, your body has no choice. All the fucking organs in your body, in some way or another, are having to do with ketones, fat, protein, converting the protein to glucose for parts of your brain, because your brain doesn't go full keto. No, it doesn't. No, you still, even when you are keto adapted, you still have blood glucose levels. And the reason for that is your body does gluconeogenesis or something like that converts motherfucking proteins to motherfucking glucose. Which is still a lot better for you than converting high fructose motherfucking corn syrup, which, by the way, high fructose, turns out, bypasses all of that and goes straight to fat. Did you know that? Your body doesn't turn fructose into glucose. And that kind of sucks. You know, it goes straight to your fat. And then you have to go to the fat to get the energy. It's kind of fucked up, isn't it? Because there's high fructose corn syrup and fructose and a whole lot of shit. There's even fructose in fruit, but it's mixed with fiber, so you don't, absorb as much of it as you would if you drank a Mountain Dew or what have you. So yeah, there's a whole sugar is evil culture out there, and there's plenty of literature supporting that. Because even vegetarians and vegans who think that animal fat is the devil, they will tell you that sugar is just as evil, But I am not a vegan. I don't want to be a vegan. I like my meats. I am satisfied. I couldn't eat just vegetables and fake fucking vegan shit all the time. I need real food. If I'm going to limit my diet and get rid of all of this processed shit, I better have some real fucking food at the end of the day that's tasty, satisfying, and filling without overloading my carbs. Questions I plan on answering. What are the results with intermittent fasting mixed with being keto adapted? Is this diet sustainable? And does it reduce your carb cravings to non-existent levels? What kinds of artificial sweeteners can be used as a crutch for when you absolutely have to have something sweet? What various diet recipes can help continue the sustainability that are actually fucking good and not just fake shit? How will I feel, my energy levels, when I'm fully keto adapted? I realize I'm going to feel like shit in the beginning, for probably most of it, halfway through the 6 weeks, is when I should start to feel better. So when will that happen, and is that is it indefinite? And one last warning for those of you who think, well, you've been going into ketosis regularly, all you gotta do is just fast and you're in ketosis. Well, the thing is, the second that you spike your insulin, you drop out of ketosis. And if you're carb loading again, you reset that 21 to 6 week counter. It's like it never happened. And that's why I failed the first time. I had carb cravings, so I had a fucking cheat day. I'm gonna have me some bread and fucking donuts and cookies and all the fucking drug-filled crap I can fucking cram into one day out of the week. And little did I know that was not only kicking me way the fuck out of ketosis, it was refilling all of my glycogen, so it would take a while, because back then I didn't fast, to deplete all of it again. And I was fucking myself, pretty much. Whereas the one variable I haven't tried is doing a longer term keto diet to see if it's sustainable. So the end of 6 weeks, if I think it sucked and I don't think I can do it, or I'm just so mentally fucked by the fact that I'm addicted to these fucking carb substances that everyone's fucking addicted to, then I'll tell you that. And I'm hoping that this is going to be an interesting and fun ride. You know, I've explored all I can explore on intermittent fasting without starting to fuck with my macros. So, we're going to see what happens with my weight. We're going to have before and after pictures. I know you guys miss looking at my fatness. I will do a before picture, and I will contrast it with the way I looked before when I started intermittent fasting, so as to show the progress I made so far with what I was doing before. And then this is pretty much where I arrived at in my fasting journey. 10 pounds heavier than I originally wanted to be. And I've been working to get back down, but maybe this will be the thing that just knocks me past that previous plateau of 193 down into the 180s or even maybe 170s, which is where my government regulated BMI says I'm a healthy weight. Because we all trust the government, right? Yeah. Wish me luck. Like and subscribe. Some of the videos I might not have time to do extensive fucking production value on, so I hope you don't, get pissed off when you see a video that's selfie sticked in some fucked up location, just because I want to do a quick report. I am going to document some eating days and some of the things I'm doing. Not every day, obviously, but, over time, I will go over my food diaries. I'll do like a food diary review and talk about if I fuck up or not, or, if I kick myself out of ketosis at all. The other reason I wanted to go 6 weeks is in the beginning, I'm going to be experimenting with some artificial sweeteners and some foods that are questionable on whether or not they'll kick you out of ketosis. And I'm also not sure the exact amount of protein. I mean, they got numbers out there, but everyone's different. That I can eat before I start converting it to glucose, which would also kick you out of ketosis. That's the experiment. But remember, through all of this is an experiment. I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just trying some shit. Trying new shit. Which will be a lot of that with this diet. But I'm not an expert. I'm just a fucking asshole. Have a nice fucking day. And don't let that sugar kill you. I mean, I know so many people going through cancer. Cancer has deeply affected my personal life. One of the things keto adaptation is supposed to provide is reduction in cancer growth. And we all have cancer cells in our bodies that could pop up at any time. Turns out, if you're full of sugar, you can grow that shit. If you don't have glucose as a fuel source in your body, cancer cells can't grow. They will stop. The jury's still out on that, but it sounds like reasonable science to me. I mean, it sounds like it makes sense. Cancer's glucose-based. No glucose. Fuck cancer. Okay. Diabetes. Conclusively cured by ketogenic diet without drugs. That's right. For those of you who are diabetic and taking them fucking pills so you can eat whatever the fuck you want, don't have to take the fucking pills anymore. Think of the healthcare savings alone. Not to mention the health side effects of those pills, which are pretty fucking bad. My mother had a stroke, and they put her, she had blood sugar issues. She eats the same shit. Who do you think I learned it from? And once again, they're telling her, she's got other health problems with her back and stuff. She needs surgery. She's in pain all the time. But they're telling her, look, you got to fucking change your diet. You're going to have diabetes. And I put her on a semi-ketogenic diet. I limited her carbs to under 75 grams. I think it was 50 grams to start. 50 grams to start. And her blood sugar came down into 90s, 80s, 90s, sometimes 70s. It was getting awesome. But I stopped policing her because she kept adding back in. Oh, well, I can just have this toast. Or I can just have that. I'm getting off on a tangent before I even finish the video. Isn't that great? I can just have this. I can just have that. The doctors say I can have this. Even though most of the doctors are still sucking the fucking low-fat tit that has been proven wrong. By a flawed study that some dickhead got done in the 70s. At the same time, another guy did a study at the same time that sugar was the culprit. And guess what? They're like, oh, well, that's not good for agriculture, so we're going to get rid of that motherfucker. Shut him the fuck up. Fuck him. Die. I have some reasons to experiment with this. Because I may be walking down that same road without even knowing it. I've increased my health markers and by fasting. I've reduced my carb intake dramatically by half by fasting because I eat half as much as a normal fucking human being, in America. Not a normal human being, but a normal human being in America. I eat half as many carbs as them because I don't eat all the time. I'm not eating from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. So what happens when I do eat and all I'm eating is low carb? So these are all questions I personally want to find the answers to. I don't want to read a blog about it. I don't want to hear another YouTuber going on. I want to experience these things for myself because we are all different, metabolically. We all have different tolerances. Some people can eat carbs till the fucking, they could eat like a whole box of donuts, not gain a single pound. And there's genetic markers that allow their cells to deal with carbs better. So, anyways, I got off on a tangent. Have a nice fucking day. Not an expert, just an asshole. Like, subscribe, share, and let's see how this fucking goes. Sorry about the long video too, but I like to talk because, I don't know. I like sharing my ideas. It's great. Alright.